Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 255. Today, our guest was Stephanie Johnson, and she works for Edge Theater Company. And one of the main reasons she came on to the podcast was to talk about and promote Gerald C. Rivers. He impersonates and helps bring to life the great work of Martin Luther King. And they're going to bring him in February for Black History Month. So if you want to help donate, you want to help spread the word, we'll have links in the bio to help bring the man here and spread the good word. It was a really good conversation, a lot of good insight into her life and into the world of theater arts at East Lubbock Art House, bringing theater to Black and brown communities. So it was really fun. We really enjoyed her, and I hope you guys really get a good message out of this podcast and can help donate your time and money to these people and their great cause. And I hope you guys really enjoyed the episode. And we had fun. So if you want to also help support the podcast, a great and easy free way to do that is to subscribe to the YouTube channel or to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can give us a 5-star review or give us an honest review. Anything helps. Comment, like, subscribe, sharing. Our stuff, their stuff, everybody's stuff here in Lubbock. That's actually a free and easy way to help support us all. So there you go. Check out Lords of Film. They're coming back with actually tonight when this episode drops, they're doing a movie night at the Cast Studio C for a double feature for the holidays. And you can also subscribe to the patreon.com/snakepitstudios for $1. And you get great music and great conversation, additional bonus content from us. So thank you guys. I hope you enjoy it. And shout out to Stephanie. We really enjoyed her. Let's get her started. Here we are with Stephanie. Can you kind of give us a little introduction to what you do?
All right. My name is Stephanie Johnson. I am vice president now, newly appointed of the Edge Theater Company. We are a company of fine artists. And what we're doing right now is a part of our mission is to bring theater arts into the communities where it has not traditionally been a presence. It's important for me personally because in these communities that have not been reached as far as theater arts go, what it does is it opens up a whole new world of possibilities. And what I want is for our children to know that they don't have to rely just solely upon academics, which, don't get me wrong, that is truly important. And of course, we want that. But they don't have to rely upon academics. They don't have to rely upon the sports, which are all good things. But those can be kind of limited if you're not super talented or super smart. But within the theater world, there are so many opportunities from anything from being a director, and it's not just limited to being on stage. There's the musical aspect of it, where we have sound design, there's light design, costuming, the directing, of course. There are just so many facets that go into creating a production and putting it on. And so I want all those opportunities for the people of my community, the Black and brown communities.
And this is is this like helping them like a career path?
Yeah, very well can be. And the best analogy that someone shared with me is that, there can be only one Denzel Washington, and he can only do so many movies a year, right? But a person that's building the set, a person that's doing the makeup, they can get into sets that Denzel will never see because they have the ability to travel from this set to that set to another one. And so the possibilities are really limitless. There's everything from set designing and building. There's just so much that you don't even think about, and that not even to mention the playwriting. It's one big conglomerate of possibilities.
It's interesting. Something happened recently. Mm-hmm. This guy, he actually lives in Lubbock. He flies to Hollywood to do, I think, the lighting. Mm-hmm. and he was, because we were going to do his lights, and he was like, I don't know if I can do it this year because the strike hit him. I didn't know that. And
Right.
there's people here that they go to Hollywood and work on those big old sets.
Yep. One of the things that being involved with this theater company that has been a perk for me is that I drag my grandchildren live with me, and so I drag them everywhere to every production that I'm involved in. And my grandson, he is 13, going on 30, but he's 13, and so he's been around for a few years now. But we have lighting classes from time to time. And just by the sheer nature of if he's going to be there, he's going to be doing something productive. I don't want him walking around, just getting in trouble or finding trouble. But the thing is that everybody, and Ginger Angstad, who is our lighting design person, she's very patient and knowledgeable and has been doing this for more years than most of us have been alive. And so she's just kind of taking him under her wing, and she shows him little things. And what I told him is that, and he's not he's not a theater nut at all. He runs from the theater every chance he gets, except when he has no choice about being there with me. But what I told him is this. I said, look, here's the thing. You don't have to be on stage, and you may not even like doing the lighting all the time, but when you go to college, there may be opportunities that you can earn a few extra dollars. And in college world, those extra dollars are important. And if you have a skill set that not everybody has access to.
It's a craft.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So, yes, absolutely. You travel. It's because work is going to be everywhere.
Yeah, it's definitely needed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think a lot of people want to be Denzel. But then there's those other opportunities.
All the underlings, yeah. That's true.
That was me at one point. But so where do y'all do these productions at? Do y'all do them here in Lubbock?
We do, yes. And we just actually recently, this past month, we moved out of the space that we were in, which was the 42nd Street in Boston Playhouse. We have, like I said, we recently moved out of that space. But what we're doing now is it's kind of been a disappointment on one hand, but it's also been a blessing on the other hand, because what we're having to do now, because, when we get comfortable, we get out, especially me, I don't like change. I don't like getting out of my little comfort zone. And so once we have this beautiful space, it's really easy to have our productions there. But what I find is that the people of our community are not so, because they're like me, they get comfortable with what they know and what they're accustomed to, and they're not likely, unless they know someone or unless they have a kid or a relative that's in a production, they're not likely to come to the theater space. Now that we're out of that space, what we're doing now is we're going to be taking theater to the community. And one of the things, our next upcoming thing for our next season, our season opener will be Gerald Rivers' event. And Gerald Rivers is a gentleman that we had down for a Juneteenth special event. He's an actor, but he does this impersonation of Martin Luther King. And it was so moving and so powerful. And we didn't have a full house, but again, that goes back to just people not up to the last minute down anyway. But if you don't know about it and if you're not involved in the theater circles, it's kind of hard to know, these things that are going on. But those that were there, they were so impressed, and we're wanting to have him back. So we're going to bring him back for Black History Month in February. So what we'll do is we'll have the tentative schedule as it is right now is to have him possibly do a tour and a master class with tech, drum department, and that is kind of still working out the details on that one. So that is not written in stone yet, but we will have a meet and greet, a reception for him at the Roots Museum. And then that Sunday we will have his main event where he will do his program that he's got this time. It's called Martin and Music. Excuse me. And just to be there and see his performance, I and I wasn't the only one that voiced this. It was as if we were in the room literally with Martin Luther King. And for a person that, came after him, that's really something. Like he everything from his mannerisms to the voice, it's really easy to get lost in the performance and really feel the presence of Dr. King. And that's important for our community. We could do it, in a venue southwest of town. But again, the community is where we're trying to, do our outreach. And so we're taking that to the community. That's going to be at Lions Chapel, which is a prominent church within the community, East Lubbock community as well. So,
does he do, like, can people ask him questions and he'll answer as if he's MLK?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
that's
he
cool.
did. At the end of his performance this past June, he had a short Q&A, but at the top of his performance, he really just gave us a little bit of background about how he grew up and how he came into this thing that he does. And he travels the country, and just really amazing and very impactful.
Fascinating guy.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been an interesting speech to hear, like, in person.
Will you look him up, Gerald Rivers?
Yes. And I can actually send you a link. He's on YouTube, so you can look that up
You
as
looked
well.
up Geraldo.
Geraldo. Jesus Christ.
How do you spell Gerald? J.
Gerald.
I was close. I think I was right.
I don't know why it autocorrected to Geraldo Rivera.
Now the Wi-Fi is acting up.
So that was one of the ways I got connected to you,
Mm-hmm.
because it was to help promote this.
Yes.
So how can people help get him here?
Okay, so this past Monday we had a meeting. What I want, and have to be careful about my language here, because even though it is what I want, it's not just a me thing. Our organization is striving to increase our outreach footprint. And so the desire is to have the community come together and be able to raise funds and get him here, because when you're invested in something, you're more likely to support it. And so I want our community just as invested as we are at the Edge. And so we had our first meeting just to kind of toss around some ideas of fundraising things. You can always donate money, and I'm sorry I don't have send money here today because we are in the very early planning stages, but I will be sure and get that information to you. You can reach out to Morgan Kirkpatrick.
Oh, yeah.
You can reach out to myself, the Edge Theater Company. Sean Allen Jones is our president, so and I'll leave you those numbers. But
Yeah, we can put that in there in the bio
yes,
when
so
this comes out.
as we begin to develop this, I will be sure and pass that information along to you.
Can I ask you something before we start this? Do you find the younger generation not really knowing much about Martin Luther King?
Mm-hmm.
Is he kind of getting lost?
Yeah,
As time goes?
it does. And I'll tell you, my own personal thought is that even as a 50-something-year-old woman, and he was just a little bit before my time. I know of his works, and I know the work that it took to get us the freedoms and the privileges that we have today. But as time progresses, as technology progresses, as life just goes on, without someone to continuously give us that history, and especially with them trying to take our history out of the schools and rewrite history, it gets lost. And so we get comfortable in a way of life that, especially these younger ones, they've never known another life. That's why I think when George Floyd died, and it really felt like, to me, a second movement. And it got everybody's attention. And so, yes, it got the younger people's attention because they're the ones that are dying at the hands of, this injustice. But this is something that's been going on forever. This is what Martin Luther King, that's what the struggle was about. And not only just him, but, the dozens and hundreds and thousands of others that, fought along beside him for the rights that we have. So when we get comfortable, we tend to forget that, oh, there was some blood, sweat, and tears that went into getting where we are right now. And again, if you're not taught that history, if it's not being talked about in the homes, it's easy to get lost.
Now and I don't know, this is why I'm asking this question. Mm-hmm. It's being taken, like they're not talking about it in schools? Is this what's happening? In a way?
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I take that opinion. I haven't done any research or anything, so don't quote me on anything, but I'm of the opinion that when you're taking out books from schools and when you're telling us that we have to teach history in a certain way, and that if you teach history as it really went down, that now you're unpatriotic. And you've seen the news. Mm-hmm. You've seen the debates about it. What else can it be besides trying to rewrite history? And I'm not a fan of that. Our history is not always pretty,
Nope.
No matter whose history it is. It's not always pretty. So, just tell the truth about it.
That's what I say.
Learn from it, yeah.
I like to learn about it. Like what happened in Texas. Mm-hmm. Like to the people that lived here, it's brutal. Mm-hmm. It's super brutal, but I like to learn about it. I'm with you. I think it's patriotic to learn about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel you. We do get comfortable. I get comfortable. Life's really easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you, MLK. People like that made it easy for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get you. We got to tell these stories.
Yeah.
And they're still happening. That's
exactly.
Crazy.
Yeah. That is the scary thing, is that, my mom used to say, there's nothing new under the sun. And it really isn't. We're still fighting. Unfortunately, we're still fighting some of the same battles. What impresses me, just personally, is that the courage that it took for that generation to do what they did, to make the marches, and with them knowing that they very well could be marching to their death. And then the parents, knowing that your child has decided to take a stance and they're going to go out there and then face possibly death. How do you reconcile that with, your parents' heart? But they did it. And it's those sacrifices that I think it's important to remember.
And that's what guys like this is doing.
Yes.
Can we listen to the video? We got a video.
This is Resurrection Graves, and I'm here at the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial today, celebrating. Because of the hurricane, it was supposed to be canceled, but there are so many people here wanting to celebrate anyway. And I have a gentleman, Mr. Gerald Rivers, who is an inspirational speaker, a master drummer, a voice for Dr. King. He's also an actor. He's going to share something with us right now.
There's a little song that we sang in our movement down in the South. I don't know if you've heard it, but it has become the theme song. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. Oh, we had tears in our eyes when we joined together to sing it, but we still decided to sing it. We shall overcome. Don't worry about us. Before this victory is won, some of us will get thrown in jail some more, but we shall overcome. Don't worry about us. Before this victory is won, some of us will lose jobs and be called bad names and dismissed as rabble-rousers and agitators. For the victory is won, some will even have to face physical death. But if physical death is the price that some must pay, to free their children from a permanent psychological death, then nothing shall be more redemptive. We shall overcome. We shall overcome, and I'll tell you why. We shall overcome because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. We shall overcome because Carlyle is right. No lie can live forever. We shall overcome because William Cullen Bryant is right. Truth-crushed earth will rise again. We shall overcome because James Russell Laurel is right. Truth forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne. Yet that scaffold sways our future. Behind the dim unknown standeth God within the shadows, keeping watch above his own. We shall overcome because the Bible is right. We shall reap what you sow. We shall overcome. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. With this faith, we will go out and adjourn the councils of despair. Bring new light into the dark chambers of pessimism. We will be able to rise from the fatigue of despair to the buoyancy of hope. This will be a great America. We will be the participants in making it so. So as I leave you this morning, I say, walk together, children, don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land.
My God.
Where's that? Do you know where that monument's at?
Washington, D.C.
Is that where it's at? I would like to go see that one day. I've never been over there.
So you caught me off guard.
Oh, sorry. I heard laughing in the video. I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
You can exit out of it.
I did, but the Wi-Fi is acting up.
So when he came here, was it pretty well received for the people that saw him?
Yes, absolutely. And if you can imagine, like, there with the background noise, if you can imagine this confined space where it was just absolutely quiet, it was just so moving.
I can imagine it like off the walls if it's like a smaller space, almost with an echo. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to his return visit because we plan to have him at Lions Chapel, and that will be in a setting in which, Martin Luther King was most comfortable.
In the chapel? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. It's wild watching those old videos where he's in a church preaching.
Yeah.
And back then, how everyone was tuned in, but at the same time scared because during this time there was church bombings going on.
Yeah.
And so everyone had this fear of any moment we could be
Absolutely
blown up, listening to this and how the government targeted MLK. And he even knew that eventually he was going to die.
Yeah, absolutely. We did a play called The Mountaintop by Katori Hall. And there's a character by the name of Kame. And this character was based off of Katori Hall's mother, who was not able to attend that last speech at the church, and I forget the name of it right now. But she based it off of that character off her mother because her grandmother told her mom she couldn't go because of the threat and of the dangers of going. And so it was a very real thing, that, again, we don't have to deal with that. We walk around and we run our mouths off, pop our mouths off, at the drop of a dime. You look at me wrong, I'm going to say something. You're going to know what's on my mind. But they didn't have that privilege, not without it being some consequences and repercussions.
It's an interesting way to think. It is a privilege, huh? Just to say what you want to anybody.
Oh, my God. My grandson, he has taken that privilege and ran with it. I keep telling him, I say, kid, you can't just say what's on your mind just because it's on your mind. There's a way to say and do anything, but, that comes with the time that he's grown up in and the freedoms of speech. Even though the constitutional amendments gave us those rights, but did we really get them, So it took some time to get here.
Do you, because I follow this closely, because part of this podcast and part of the reason I do it is because I want to hear stories from everywhere. Do you think there's an attack on free speech right now? In a silencing of voices?
I think that we are indeed living in a time when you have to watch your speech, because even if you're not physically attacked, now you're just canceled. You know, we live in a cancel culture now. And if your speech or you're speaking your mind, your opinion on something, it can have a direct effect on your livelihood. You know, people want to hear what they want to hear as long as it's popular. And we're fickle and we're quick to jump on a bandwagon. Okay, it's going this way now today. You know, well, let me get on that bandwagon. And when you have someone that's not necessarily a bandwagon rider, and they say, no, I'm going to speak it this way, now all of a sudden you're the problem. You know, so in a way, I think that that's very true. It's just more cunning and conniving now. It's not as blatant as it was in the past, I think.
Yeah, it scares me.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, it scares me. I pay close attention to it because it would affect me.
Yeah.
And I'm not someone who's trying to hurt feelings or trying to be. I don't like intentionally try to get on the bandwagon or not.
Right.
I just want to talk. And
yeah.
Oh man.
I'm a great fan of the hard conversations. They're not fun and they're not easy by any means, but it's how we come to resolutions. And oftentimes, you know, people are not ready for the hard. They're not ready for the uncomfortable, and they're certainly not ready to be wronged or viewed as being wronged. So that can be kind of tricky and challenging in this, you know, space that we're living in now.
Another problem too is I don't think a lot of people can handle if someone has an opinion and states it. Mm-hmm. People try so hard to switch the other person's mind. It's so hard for people just to disagree. You don't have to always
That's right.
agree on something. But I see it so many times where, you know, if you don't agree with a friend, that friend will just no longer talk to you anymore. And that's happened to me on multiple, you know, on a few occasions.
People will smear each other.
It's about to happen with the election, I tell you that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everything going on. Like I'm seeing it right now with, you know, the Israel and Palestine thing, and then the elections coming up. It's gonna get a lot more pretty bad. Yeah.
You know, just for me personally, I remember when Trump was running the first time. And I was still fairly new within the theater community. Mm-hmm. And this gentleman that had always been very kind to me. You know, Facebook is something else.
That was a telling time.
Yeah.
That was a very telling time. I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
Nice.
Exactly. He changed the landscape. Man, he did.
It can make you look at people side-eyed, you know. So, but,
Truly.
you know, this gentleman, you know, he'd never been anything but kind to me. But his political views and opinions, they rubbed me all the way wrong.
It's almost like they spoke volumes over impressions, you know.
And what I had to do is, number one, I just had to unfriend him because I didn't want to see the rhetoric that he was spewing.
Pushing, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I had to keep in mind, okay, he has never done anything to me personally. And that's really how I try and conduct myself. I judge a person not by, you know, who they're friends with or who doesn't like them. It's how you treat me. If Roy's cool with me, I'm cool with Roy. If she don't like Roy, that's her problem.
She loves me.
You know, but not everybody is able to do that.
That's what MLK said, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of what he was preaching the whole time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know, man.
It came from a place of love. And this was I got done looking at this series on Peacock, I think, maybe. But it was, what's the name of it? Godfather of Harlem. And it was interesting. It's about Bumpy Johnson, who's a real life person. but and I know it's fictitious, but in that, I believe that there's a lot of truth in what the relationships might have been between these men. But it showed the relationship between he and Malcolm X, and then the relationship between he and Muhammad Ali. And, these were two polar opposite men, not Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X, they were on the same wavelength. But it was Martin Luther King. They had a different way of handling things and how they thought the movement should progress. And it was just really interesting. But again, Martin came from a place of just love and really wanting I don't think he was pushing black power, if you will. He was pushing people power. He wanted everyone.
He was love.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Plain and simple.
If I'm not mistaken, MLK, he took the let's do it by the law, economic approach, peaceful, and Malcolm X was more radical.
Yeah, he was more radical.
Yeah.
Like
he was, and I don't know a lot about him, but this series made me more curious about to find out more about Malcolm. But yeah, so if you have a chance, if you haven't seen it,
yeah, Forrest Whitaker.
Have you ever seen Malcolm X with Denzel Washington?
Yes,
Spike Lee.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's a wild movie.
Yeah.
Just talking about the history of like what he went through, and it kind of makes you understand why he became the way he
was.
became.
He a Black Panther?
No, I don't even think they were around during that time just yet. But he was. He was a Muslim, and he's the one that got Muhammad Ali to convert.
Oh, I didn't know.
Because Muhammad Ali's real name is Cassius Clay, and when he became Muslim, that's when he became Muhammad Ali.
Oh.
Yeah.
Malcolm X people killed him, right? His own guys.
he was doing he was preaching, and two men.
I seen
stood
that
up,
clip from that movie when they killed him. Dang.
So, but that's the thing. Just during that time, I think they say that the government, they didn't want a so-called Black Messiah.
Yeah.
It was just I mean that was just a different time. That was just they view them as threats.
Yeah.
And
which goes back to the policing of speech.
Yep.
Yeah, it's way different now. They still do that. They don't want anybody opposing them in any sort of fashion.
Absolutely.
It's just more obvious now.
Have you ever seen Selma?
I have not seen Selma.
Yeah, that's a good one too. They're talking about how, like, even Martin Luther King, he wasn't a perfect man, but the FBI went after him and would, listen to his phone calls, record his phone calls, and Martin Luther King, apparently had a problem with, adultery and cheating on his wife, and so they would, what they would do is they would record, him doing the thing, and then they would call him, and then they would record. Yeah, they would just get in his mind, like just what he had to go through to.
Yeah, absolutely. We just did a play, The Mountaintop, which I really loved. That was like my favorite production, I think, because it did show him in a very human light. Because of the work that he did, society has put him up on this pedestal. And so it can be really easy to forget that, he was still just a man. He was flawed, like the rest of us. And, we love to build up a hero only so we can tear him down, That play was very humanizing of Dr. King. And it touched on a lot of those things, the fact that he had to have suffered some PTSD. Because how do you not come out of that environment of having to watch your every move, your every step, and everybody around you because of the threats that you face on a daily basis? And so, that was another one that we did this past summer.
How can, kids get involved in these plays?
Tell you what, we have a program called Acting Out, which we don't have a date for it yet, but just look out. Danielle East at East Lubbock Art House, she's a great resource, and she's always doing something for the community. You can look us up. Let me find our
Will you plug that laptop in?
website. Edge
The laptop's about to
Theater.
die.
Give me a second. Those are things I should have had written down.
It's all good.
We have it up here on the East Lubbock Art House Instagram.
Okay. Yeah, but you can always contact her and she'll know what's going on with us. If you can look us up on our website.
What's that haunted house?
October 21st.
What?
Go there and then go to Fosingos.
That's so cool. Whoa. What organization, or let me see what events they have got going on.
I think it's edgetheater.org. That's horrible. I am a horrible representative.
Nah, you're doing great.
I'll get that information back
Okay,
to you, though.
we'll get that all in the bio. Yeah, I'm interested in. Can we talk about your life?
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
Did you grow up here?
I did. Born and raised. Never lived anywhere else.
And so how was that? What was it like?
It was, it was a different time. We grew up kind of all over Lubbock because we moved a lot when I was growing up. So I went to school at Wheatley. We moved. I went to school at Parkway. We moved. I went to school out in Carlisle. We moved, and we were back in town.
That's where I live.
And did you?
There was a school. Is there still a school there?
Oh, it's the Friendship District.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Friendship. And and then we moved back into town, and I went to Matthews Junior High, Alderson Junior High. Then went to Estacado for a year, and I finally went to when we went to Dunbar. I graduated from Dunbar, so we were just kind of all over Lubbock.
Dunbar was a high school?
Mhm.
Oh, shit, I didn't know that. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Dunbar very much was high school. And there used to be a big rival between Dunbar and Estacado. There were big games, like the Friday night Dunbar Estacado games. Those were all the rage.
Want to get rowdy?
Yes,
Oh. Man, I bet those were fun.
they were.
Oh, man. So what was it like? What was your childhood like? What were you doing?
My childhood was, my mom, she's a single mom of 5 kids. My 2 older siblings, my older brother and sister, they kind of grew up in my grandmother's household. But then there was myself, my younger sister and younger brother, and then my nieces and nephews at some point that came to live with us. And so my mom, she was just always a single parent and just worked hard and made ends meet. And when I think about it now, like when I find myself stressing over, the woes of life, sometimes now I think back on, like, how in the world did Mama do it? But she did, and she made it look easy. She never let us see the stress and worry on her face. I can remember maybe one time that, but I didn't know what she was worried about. I just knew that she was worried, but she just took care of business. And so I really had a decent childhood. We all have our things our insecurities as we're growing up. And so I wasn't a popular kid in school, which played into my lack of confidence later on. And so I really feel like I'm just now finally growing into my own confidence as I'm doing these things that I never thought I'd be able to do, and learning stuff that, who'd have thought me, a vice president on a board of
You're
anything.
learning about yourself.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
And like your potential and your like where your passion will lead you, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think I have found myself an accidental advocate because I'm very passionate about just equality and opportunities for the Black and brown communities. And that's not to exclude anybody, because I think everybody ought to have access. But when you have a community that has been deprived of certain privileges and benefits, that's where my passion is to make sure that in my small way that I can do what I can do to try and change that or make that better in some way.
No, I'll let you. I was just saying, like, it is important to lay that groundwork for a community. I like to think of myself involved in the community with, like, the CASP and everything, but it's important because there is no need to be ashamed of your hometown or to have to run from it to reach these opportunities, you know, that you ultimately want. And everybody has to see how possible certain things are, starting within the community. Like, some people just think, I live here, I will never get to there, or it will never make me the money I think. But no, like, it truly can, because those creatives are here, but they need a community space to pour into, where that's where you can kind of inspire and start mentoring. And that's kind of how you start, like, I feel like really like laying like groundwork to make people like also see the opportunities they were given to still pour into their community.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I'm most impressed by with our theater company is because we do strive to do works that you're not going to see on just every other stage. And it's okay for, you know, other community theaters to have the expected stuff. But we strive to do works that are meaningful, that make a change in some kind of way, or something that, like, for instance,
and it seems like you're telling stories that are intentional, you know what I mean? Or that, like, speak of, like, just whether it's, like, history or, you know, just...
Yeah, absolutely. Last summer we did Where Life Cuts, which is a play that I wrote, and it dealt with mental health and how it's handled within our community, or not handled, what it looks like when it goes unaddressed or unrecognized. So it's those topics that we actively seek out to, and we just did what is the name of it? Real Women Have Curves. We just did that one in this September. Absolutely loved that. Was all Hispanic cast, Hispanic playwright, Hispanic director.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it was so well done. So well done. And I had never seen the movie. I'd heard of it.
There's a movie?
Yeah, there's a movie. And there's a book. And I hadn't seen or read
Heard of it
either of them, but I'd heard of Real Women Have Curves. And so when I got to see the play, and this was the first play that I was pretty much hands-off for the most part. I did just very little, whereas, you know, most of the time I'm just deep into whatever needs done, get it done. And so to be able to go and just sit back and enjoy it as a patron, I was like, ooh, this is cool. But I was really impressed and so very proud of this. And we had a cast that most of them had very little acting experience. And that's what we want. We want people to spread their wings and just try.
I wish I would have known about this. Yeah. That's so cool.
George Lopez is in there.
Yeah.
My boy.
America Ferrera.
Now, I don't want to say it's like lack of participation from the community, but do you think
it is?
Okay, well, do you think it's because kind of what you were saying, people don't want to like adventure out and do new things? Like
I think it's several things. I think number one, you hit on something really important. If we don't see it, we don't know it's possible.
And especially in your own community, because that's how certain people get pushed out of the community and they have to go across town. But then when that becomes a feat, they drop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's several things. It's number one, if we're not exposed to it. Number two, we do get comfortable, and you know we are quick to support our kids. Let's get them to that baseball practice. Let's get them to that football practice. We're quick to do those things. Or if it's academics, you know, let's get them to the UIL stuff. Let's get them, and we as parents, we're on board for that. But when it comes to theater arts, ain't nobody got time to watch you doing some new play. You know, we don't take it seriously, and we don't see.
Do you think it's
the
because
value.
people see like avenues for like success through like sports and things
Yeah.
like that, and they
Yeah.
just don't believe in
Yeah,
the
they-
arts and the potential of that? The
Exactly. Yeah.
little alleys.
I think it's just a lack of knowledge, and so
You got to start that podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You do. Get the word out. You got to get the word
there we
out.
go. That's right. I'll be calling. Okay, now what do I need to do now, Roy?
I got you. We'll shout you out every episode.
So for me, I'm actually a teacher in the Friendship District, but you know, there's certain kids I feel like if only they found something, like look, like yes, educate. You're right. Education is important, but I feel like a lot of kids get discouraged because they feel like, oh well, if I'm not making good grades or I'm struggling to keep these grades up, I guess I lead to nothing, which is not true at all.
Right.
And I feel like if they were to find something to,
Yeah,
like
just find
it
a
could be
little niche.
theater, it could be playing guitar, it could be anything like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I feel like a lot of children aren't led the right way. We think that, oh, if there's no education or what I see a lot too is, oh, I don't play football. I don't play volleyball. So I guess this is it for me. I'm just kind of nobody, but that's not true. It's just kids need to find out what it is they truly are passionate about.
Yeah. If they like to write, you know, that's writing is something that I have done. My earliest memory is when someone took notice of my writing when I was in 4th grade, and it was just this little poem that I had written about a great-grandmother that I met only once, but she died, and I think I was just channeling the sadness that my grandmother and my mom was feeling. And so I just wrote this little poem, and I wanted to impress the teacher. Here, Miss Graves, look. And she saw my little poem, and she was impressed, and I didn't get it. I didn't get that I had done something really cool, right? Mm-hmm. And so writing has just always been something that I've done. And until, when I tell you literally like the last 5-6 years, had no idea what to do with it. You know, people say, you need to write a book, because, you know, when people would read my stuff, they, you need to write a book. I don't know how to go about doing that stuff. I don't have the money for that kind of thing. But what I have found through theater is I am not only a writer, but I am a playwright now. I've written 2 plays. And I never saw myself doing these things. So it's taking whatever it is that they enjoy doing. I'm always looking for, like, the next playwright, because I can't write all the stories for our theater company. I can't write all the black stories. I certainly can't write all the brown stories. So I'm looking for those kids that have something to say, and this is how they get it out. So you're right, it doesn't have to necessarily be football, basketball, volleyball, or choir, or any of those things that get, you know, the light shined on them. It's whatever, but until they venture out and kind of experiment. Like my grandson, he wants nothing really to do with theater, but he's happy to be around that crowd. And for me, that's important because he's around positive things and positive people versus being out there left to his own devices. He can stir up a storm of trouble. So, you know, what better way to keep him busy in my line of sight? And in the meantime, he's learning things that he doesn't even really realize. And maybe he'll come back to it. Maybe he won't. But at least he knows, yeah, the stage. And he actually, I had him in one of my plays. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that again. But now he knows, you know. So it's just about them finding their little niche.
Yeah, and I think another thing that really bothers me a lot is, you know, sometimes you'll ask these kids, like, hey, like, what'd y'all do over the weekend? And it's always the same. It's either they played online with games or they watch TikTok all day long. Like there's nothing interesting. Like it's just like they're I don't know if it's like parents or it's just the way they're brought up, but you know, I'm not saying, you know, I've seen it for years where it seems like a lot of parents are like, here's this phone. Now shut up and go sit in your room, and then that's
Yeah,
it.
it used to be the TV was turning into the babysitter,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's all these devices.
I think it's just like literally just a new generation.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, with you having like your grandson around
Mm-hmm.
all these people, it's like whether he pursues anything in theater in that line, you're giving him human interaction
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
at that point
Yeah.
because at work, I'm a hairstylist.
Mm-hmm.
My day job is I'm a hairstylist, but within the salon, I do education. So I'm dealing with a lot of just different age groups, different personalities. But with the younger ones that I always kind of, it's an effort along with teaching hair is
Yeah.
getting them to speak, getting them to make eye contact, getting them to like truly communicate. You know what I
Connect,
mean?
Yeah.
And that really is a lost communication skill. I don't know if maybe you've noticed that. So it's, I mean,
Even people our
just
age.
yeah, but even just having him in that, he is going to remember those conversations and these things, and that's going to make him somebody that is going to be approachable and that is just confident in that way. Whether he knows it or not, that
Yeah.
really
He'll
matters.
realize it one day.
That's right.
Yes, it truly it breaks that shyness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's another thing too. It's just a lot of people just don't know how to talk, and I hear a lot that and it might be social anxiety. I mean, there are people that probably truly have that, but a lot of people use it as, well, if they don't know how to talk, well, I just have social anxiety. But
Well, you would get anxious if you don't know how to talk. If you have never been put in situations. So
true.
going back to hair. It is so easy for me to get on that phone, post a picture, advertise myself, my work is done. You will reach out to me. I was teetering in that like era of getting out of hair school where I physically had to like hand out cards and I would physically have to like put my name out there. And if I was going to a coffee shop, here's some cards. If I was going somewhere, here's some cards. Sometimes I would be told, no, we don't want it. Okay. You know what I mean? These younger ones have never had to be desensitized to no
Yeah.
or a conversation like that. So that is where social anxiety it is a thing.
Yeah.
And
But
yes,
the
it's a
environment,
crutch,
yeah.
but it's like, can
The
we really call it a
environment
crutch?
is fostering that. Yeah.
Yes, you know what I mean? And so we have thankfully created such a privileged generation, but in that same hand, we've kind of hindered them.
Yeah.
But it's out of love. Because the point of, I know my parents working as hard as they did is so that way I could have the privilege to do a podcast on my after hours and I can do these events and stuff and I don't have to worry about making it work. You know, like they made these sacrifices so I could have gone to hair school and pursued it and you know, so that's just
right.
kind of how these things will continue to go, I think.
And even just
I don't know why I said all that.
even with me just growing
That's good.
like with me growing up, I know people that are my age who, you know, very smart, all straight A's, went to great schools, but right now they're having trouble finding jobs because they never really learn how to get out there and speak with
Interact,
people,
yeah.
interact.
Yeah.
And I remember last year, because I'm a full-time teacher now, but when I was a substitute teacher, when I was at the high school, I subbed for this one class, and the kids that were in there were very intelligent. Like, they were probably almost more intelligent than me, and a few well, a few of them were actually in the process of getting accepted into Ivy League schools. Like, one kid said, "Oh, I'm going to Cornell." The other one said, "I'm going to Yale." And this was towards the end of the year, and we were just talking just about different things, and that was going to be the last time I ever saw them. And I tell them, well, good luck with college. The only advice I will tell y'all is when you go to these great schools, like, make something out of it. You can study all you want. You can have your head in that book as much as you can. You can make all the good grades that you can. But the most important thing is to get out there, talk to people,
Yeah.
Go out and find a community and build yourself up, because grades is not always going to, it's not always going to help you in life. I know plenty of people that have gone to great colleges, Texas A&M, University of Texas Tech, yes, Texas Tech. But but the person that has no degree are the ones that beat them to the job because they knew how to, get out there and do it.
I'll tell you what, and that's relatable to me because growing up, I didn't like cameras. So much so, like, I would run from a camera. I didn't like taking pictures. Never have. Still don't. But what it did is it affected, like, because I didn't want to take a picture. Like, I have very few pictures of my kids since they were growing up. Didn't even realize that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
A whole other podcast. But my point is that, I've always run from cameras and certainly wasn't trying to get on stage to speak to nobody. Wasn't trying to come on no podcast and talk to nobody. But what I've had to do in being involved with the theater is, when we have productions, then we have to promote. So if I am the playwright or if I'm the director, then, more times than not, I have to go to, Trends and Friends and that kind of thing. And so it's not my favorite thing to do. Still not my favorite thing to do. Still don't like having my picture taken, but what I've done is I've stopped running and just, okay, let's just get it over with. Let's just do it. and so I've been able to
But more times than none, it's a good experience, right?
Yes,
yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is. That is totally a me thing. It has nothing to do with anybody else. It was just me and my own insecurities and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That what I've had to do is for in the name of promotion and because it is so important to me that we get word out there that this is what's going on, this is what's happening, this is what is available. That's bigger to me than my own insecurities. And so I have gotten more comfortable with so when Roy reaches out and say, hey, you want to come on our podcast? Yeah, I'm there.
It was that simple.
Yeah. And it's not half that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to help me do my own podcast.
I really want to. Promotion's I think it's harder than the actual thing itself.
Yeah.
This is easy. Is trying to get people to follow us is the hard thing, and getting the word out. And
that's true.
Sometimes we've had to go out physically and ask people. So be it. But I wanted to ask you, you were talking about having insecurities and things like that. What sort of things helped you kind of break that and get out of that?
Just having to do it. I had a friend. I have a friend. And over the last, I said 10, 13 years, when I first met her, my story was always the same. I was too black, I was too this, I was too that, I wasn't popular. And then when I started doing things, especially when it came to my writing, she told me one day, she said, do you realize that you're doing things? I said, yeah, but. She said, no, but. She said, here's the thing. You need to change your narrative because you always lead out when you meet somebody new. It's always that same story. You were to this, you were to that, you were, And I didn't realize that's what I was doing. And so that advice was really like a game changer in my head for me. I had to change my narrative. And when I changed my narrative and I no longer saw myself as to this or to that or not enough this or not enough that, then I was able to continue to grow and get more comfortable in those spaces that I was uncomfortable in. And so whenever I'm talking with anybody that is struggling with some of the same things that I struggle with, I said, first of all, just change your narrative. That in and of itself can be a game changer for you. When you can do that, that makes other things possible for you. And so it was just really, I have to give the credit to my friend, first of all, but also theater, because she could have told me to change my narrative, but without the opportunities that I've been afforded in having to work in this space that, just learning, because I'm working with people that are educated. They went to school for this stuff. And so that was another thing, like, how, I just unsure because surely they know more than I do. And when I figured out that I don't have to know exactly what they know, I just have to work on what I do know. And then I'm good about asking questions. How do I do this? How do I do that? And I'm surrounded by people that genuinely want to see me succeed and love and care about me. And so when you have those components in place, it makes it that much easier to step outside of your comfort zone.
No, I think that is. Do you think? I feel like some people don't think they have a community. Do you think sometimes you just got to go find it? And you got to get out there.
Yeah, I think sometimes you do,
really
but
important.
I do understand that it can be hard.
Yeah, I get that too.
But if you...
And do you think that's part of the work is creating something that is welcoming and that has something for everybody? But
Absolutely.
It's also important to make it just super accessible.
Yes. That is a part of the struggle in making and growing acting out. Just, not only just getting the word out there, but here's the thing. I always go back to, yes, we can do productions in other parts of the city, but other parts of the city have access to my little neck of the woods, but they've got all this other stuff that they have access to. If I'm living on the east side, or if I'm living in a part of town that it's not so accessible to all these other amenities, why then am I going to ask you to not only step outside of your comfort zone to come to what I have, but then make it hard, knowing what we're facing. That's the community I come from. The hardworking day in, day out, just trying to make ends meet. And so sometimes it's like, do I have gas money to go to this place, that place, or the other place? I have gas money to get to work. I don't have gas money to take you to across town to see a play, across town to get involved with because if they get cast in the show, then we have rehearsals. So how are we going to make those trips back and forth?
That's reality for people. Right?
Yeah,
real reality. I want people who listen to understand that's people's story.
Real life. Yeah. So, that's part of what we're trying to do is to just make it more accessible so that if they get cast in the show, we have to have the rehearsals in a space where not only can they come and rehearse, first of all, and have a show, but also where their friends and their family can come and get to see them shine, So.
Hey, you're helping me understand it now. I get it now.
Awesome.
I didn't really process it until you just said that. Sometimes it just comes down to having resources to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And now I understand. You're doing it over there for them, for your people.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So what's y'all's next play y'all are doing?
The next play is called Railway Children. That's a local playwright, Sylvia Ashby. And I don't know a lot about it. I have not read the play, but we're looking to do that one in April. We've got a modified season coming up because we are now outside of our old space. So we're just going to be doing theater on the road. And so Gerald Rivers is the first thing that we've got coming up. And then we have Railway Children in April, I think. And then June, we will be, I think we'll be doing The Mountaintop again because it was so well received and so well done.
Does it cost to get into these?
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually the shows are about $15, but I tell you what, anybody that wants to come, if you say, look, I just don't have the money, we have like specials where sometimes we do just for promotion, buy one ticket, get one free, or we have the last, 10, 15 minutes before the show, if you show up, you get your ticket for like $5. So we make it possible. And if you still don't, even if you don't have that $5, just show up and just let them know, I want to see the show. I don't have the resources, but I want to see the show. We'll get you in. And you can also usher. You can work concessions, which is how I started out because, I'm working on a limited income myself. And so when I started getting involved and wanting to go to these different shows, hey, can I usher? And so, and that was before, I was hooked to my walker. But, there's ways to be able to participate. And so I don't ever want to, just because of money, say, no, you can't be involved. Come on, get involved. But if you got to have your money, that does nobody any good. So,
what's it like writing a play? Is it hard?
It is. Let me tell you. It was for me because, number one, I'd never done it before. And my first play was really a collection of poems that I had written. And I had a friend, Ayana Arnold, excuse me, and she kind of helped me mesh these poems that were all relatable in topic. And so I said, oh, okay, so we did that one. And then the second one, Where Life Cuts, it started out as a 15-minute play that I submitted for a playwrights, what's it called? Festival, Playwrights Festival. And so last summer of 22, I wanted to do it and had been getting encouragement to expand on it. And so I was just like, I had never written in the traditional playwright format, right? But what I just finally had to do is just, okay, take each character and, what is this character saying? Because it's based on, my own experiences and everything that happened in the play. Know that all that didn't happen to me, but it was relatable to me. And so when I just kind of started listening to what would this character say and what would this character want to say, it just kind of grew from there. And I really don't even know how it happened. It just kind of, I say it's God thing. God just gave it to me, and I did it. For somebody else, it may not be that hard. I don't know. But I had to change my mindset. So now I'm looking forward to expanding on those characters and introducing, kind of their backstory. And so I don't think it's going to be as hard the second time around. Fingers crossed. So, but yeah, that was my experience.
So that first play, did you watch it? Were you?
Yeah, I was.
I'm just saying, I have a hard time watching these.
Well, see, as long as I'm not in it, I'm good.
Okay.
I get to watch somebody else do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it was a proud moment because I got to see like my words come to life, and that is.
Did you get emotional?
I did. I'm a big crybaby.
No, but it's cool to see something that you thought and intentionally put out, and it's to almost it takes a team to create all these moving parts to create this vision and to make it work. So to see it fully functioning, it's a thought did this.
Yeah.
And that's really all it is. It's just an idea. That's all it is.
I had a whole cast. I was I think we had 10, 12, 15 people in this cast. I'm
to wrangle those people, yeah.
Girl.
Tell me about it. I know, yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
But it was cool, though.
That's
I enjoyed
awesome.
it.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And are you going to write a book?
I have enough material to put in a book. My problem has always been, I just write what I think, what I feel. That's how I process, what I'm feeling sometimes, what's going on in the world. And sometimes there's no rhyme or reason why I'm inspired to write something. So I don't have, people ask, what kind of writing do you do? I don't know. I don't know what category to put it in. So I have enough stuff to put in the book. So if we just want to slap it all in there, staple and call it a day, we can do that. But
do you physically write on paper?
No, I don't, because I don't keep up with them. I have a ton of notebooks, and I write my notes down. So this one, right now, I'm keeping up with this one. But in a month, I'll be like, where's that notebook? So I'm not great about keeping up with it written on paper, but I prefer to write on my laptop. But lately, my phone, I'm just okay.
Just put it in the notes.
Handy.
There you go. I was asking because I had to write stuff for work today, and I have shit. Sorry, I'm going to I'm gonna believe that. Man, I almost made the whole podcast without cussing. I have bad handwriting. I was like, damn, what the heck? I forgot how to write.
I think I'm lazy. I don't like when if it's because the thoughts come so fast. I can't possibly write
You'll
as
see
fast
it
as
get
I'm
messier.
thinking.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, yeah, I can do that.
There you go. I just have to ask because this is part of the snake pit, and I'm having a fun time talking to you.
Thank
do,
you.
Do you have any ghost stories? Do you believe in ghosts or any of that stuff?
Let me tell you what I believe in. I believe in demons, and I don't play with them.
There you go.
I don't play with the demons at all. And so, if there's a ghost, I believe that the ghost is a demon. You know,
It probably is.
hey, I don't knock anybody else for what they know and believe and experience. Just for me, I prefer not to.
Never experienced anything then.
No, I haven't. Thank God.
There you go.
You don't watch scary movies or any of that, do you?
You know
Do you?
what I did when I was a kid, and I don't know how I did it. I think the last thing I watched was Poltergeist, and I was probably about like 15 or 16, and I think I made a conscious choice then. That was it.
That was an intense one. The
It
original
is.
one. I liked it.
It's a good
I
one.
like it.
It's pretty spooky.
So
It was a
I'm just
cursed film.
Like, yeah, I don't.
You
I
know,
don't
it's
play with
it's
the
October. we like to talk about ghosts. I thought I'd ask you. I didn't know.
demons. No, I haven't
We asked
had any
everyone.
experiences. Thank God.
Any UFOs? You ever seen one of them?
Nope. Let me tell you what I did one time. I thought I was looking at a UFO, and I was actually riding down the street, East Parkway Drive. And I think it was when they first put up those like really tall lights, and they were amber colored, and it was round, and it wasn't moving. But for whatever reason, I didn't make the connection that was just one of the street lights. And I was looking at the thing, and I was like, what?
Oh no!
I was like, this, because I don't believe in UFOs, right? But I was like, I was struggling because I'm like, oh, this might be a UFO.
You're like just all of a
just
sudden
let it-
coming to terms
Yeah.
with like maybe these things are
Right.
real.
You should have just said, yeah, it's
Right.
a UFO. That's all.
Right. My grandson asked, he said, do you think there's UFOs? I said, I don't know. And here's my thought, really. I do believe that we have a God, that if he created us in this world, I have no idea what else he's created. So there very well could be life outside of what my little four walls of earth, but I ain't seen them.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
honestly, what can we do about it?
Right. Exactly.
What kind of music you listen to?
I love some of everything, but if I get in the car, if it's my radio, I'm listening to country.
Nice.
I used to drive a yellow cab for 13 years.
Oh, cool.
And so if I was in a car that had a CD player, I was listening to Anthony Hamilton or, any one of my R&B things. But if I was listening to the radio, it was on country. And so I had a cab, I think, for a period of time that it didn't have a CD player. And so my radio was always on country. And black people would get in. Do they make you listen to that? I said, no. That's I literally listen by choice.
Damn. Nice.
That's so funny.
There's a guy named Charlie Crockett. You should check him out.
I will.
He's awesome.
I love
He's-
Charlie Crockett.
Okay, I'm gonna look him up.
He's amazing. He's a cool. I think he's the best. So
Awesome.
you
He
should
has
check
like
that
a
one
really old country sound.
Okay.
It's
You know what? When I think the first black country besides what was his name? There's a real old school one, and I can't think of his name right now. But as far as new school, was when I realized Darius Rucker was. I was like, what? Mind blown.
Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mind
You don't know who
Not
that
gonna
is,
lie,
do you?
not gonna lie, I had the same reaction when I found that out too. Oh,
This was fun.
he's pretty successful.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this was fun. Do you have anything? Well, you've already plugged everything that but people should go donate to y'all to get the guy here.
Yes, and Just tell them, reach out to Danielle East at East Lubbock Art House, and then I'll give you my number. You can call me and find out, because we don't have an account set up just yet. Like I said, we are in the we just met last Monday to start putting some things down on what we need to accomplish and how we want to accomplish those things. And so we don't have an account or anything set up just yet. Excuse me. But you can call me and we'll get that set up really quickly. And Danielle can steer him in the right direction as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you came on. I want to come watch one of your plays.
Please do.
Yeah. We'll have to go do it in April, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out.
Okay, I'll reach out to you and say, hey, we got it going on. And I'll let you know where it is.
Yes.
Nice. You got any plans for Halloween?
Go home, turn off my porch light so those crumb snatchers don't knock on my door.
I'm looking forward to handing out candy.
Yeah, that is fine.
Is that what we're going to do this year? Hand out candy?
For a little bit before we got to the quarterlies. Okay. Again, thank you. You have any final messages? Any one last thing you want to tell the people?
Just support your communities, support the arts, support your kids in something that's not just football, basketball, baseball, and the academics. Be proud of them for whatever they're doing, but encourage them to think outside the box.
There you go. Bradley, got anything?
I'll just say, just find a community, like what we talked about earlier. Just find a community, get out there, be involved, be a part of good communities, not bad communities. So, but yeah, just get involved and support. It's the best thing you can do.
Yes, absolutely.
Never forget where you came from, and just pour into your community, support what you can, and don't have any shame in any of it ever.
That's right.
Follow us at Lords of Film with a Z, and thank you for coming to Fools and Goals, because it would have already passed by the time this is out.
Yep.
Thanks
guys. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Yes, absolutely.
Patreon.com/NakedPitStudios. We'll see you guys. One love.